All right, let's talk about lipids. Now, I know they're a group of molecules that often get a bad rap, but honestly, they are the unsung heroes inside our bodies, and they're absolutely essential for life as we know it. Seriously, for a lot of us, the word fat probably brings to mind things like dieting or maybe some unhealthy foods. But in the world of biochemistry, the story is so much bigger and, frankly, way more fascinating. So let's clear the air and start with what lipids actually are. So the core identity of a lipid is all right here. It's defined by its relationship with water, or more specifically, its total refusal to mix with it. You know when you try to mix oil and vinegar for a salad dressing, that stubborn separation? That is the classic lipid trait in action. And this one property is the key to literally everything they do in our bodies. Okay, now this is a really key difference. A lot of the big molecules in our bodies, like proteins and carbohydrates, are what we call polymers. Just think of them like long pearl necklaces made of repeating units strung together. Well, lipids aren't like that. They don't form these massive chains. They're usually smaller, more independent molecules. And that's what allows for such a huge variety of shapes and jobs. So, with all this diversity, how in the world do we make sense of them all? Well, scientists have organized them into a classification system. And I like to think of it as a kind of family tree with 4 main branches, which really helps us understand how they're all related. Here are those 4 branches. We kick things off with simple lipids. You can think of these as the basic foundation. Then you've got the complex lipids, which are basically simple lipids with some extra parts bolted on for more specialized jobs. Third are the derived lipids, which are the pieces you get when you break down the first 2 groups. And finally, there's a miscellaneous branch, which is kind of a catch-all for other molecules that act like lipids but don't quite fit into the other categories. Okay, so that's the big picture. Now, let's zoom in a little and meet some of the real key players in this family, starting with the ones you already know. Right at the top of that simple lipids branch, we find the most famous members of the family, fats and oils. Their scientific name is a bit of a mouthful, triacylglycerols, but their job is pretty simple. They are the main way most living things store energy for later. So what is the actual difference between a fat, like butter, and an oil, like olive oil? Well, it's almost shockingly simple. One is solid at room temperature, and the other is liquid. That's pretty much it. Chemically, they're very, very similar, but this simple physical difference has huge implications for everything from cooking to how they actually function in nature. Also hanging out in the simple lipids branch are waxes. Yeah, you might not think of them as lipids, but they totally are. They're fantastic at repelling water, which is why they have all sorts of practical uses, from protecting the leaves of plants to making our lotions and car polish work so well. Okay, now we're moving over to the complex lipids branch, and this is where things get really interesting. These are simple lipids with extra chemical groups attached. And the absolute superstar of this group has to be the phospholipid, truly one of the great unsung heroes of biology. What makes a phospholipid so special is that extra phosphate group. This little addition gives it a kind of a split personality. One end of the molecule loves water, and the other end hates it. This dual nature is their superpower because it allows them to automatically assemble into the membranes that enclose every single one of your cells. Without them, our cells would just be formless puddles. Life as we know it simply couldn't exist. So, we've seen what lipids are and how they're classified. The big question is, what do they actually do for us? Let's take a look at their incredible job description. As it turns out, lipids are incredible multitaskers. Their work can really be broken down into 5 key functions, and each one is vital for our survival and well-being. So let's run through them. First and foremost, lipids are our energy savings account. Those triacylglycerols, our fats and oils, are the most concentrated form of energy we can possibly store. They are the body's go-to long-term fuel reserve, packing more than twice the energy per gram compared to carbohydrates. Second, as we just saw with those amazing phospholipids, lipids are master builders. They form the fundamental structure of our cell membranes, acting as the gatekeepers that control what goes in and out of our cells. It's a job of immense importance. Function number 3. They are essential delivery vehicles. Certain vitamins, specifically A, D, E, and K, are fat-soluble. That means they can't dissolve in the watery environment of our bloodstream on their own. They need to hitch a ride with lipids to get where they need to go. Now this is crucial. Lipids aren't just passive building blocks. They are active communicators. Derived lipids like steroid hormones, such as estrogen and testosterone, are powerful chemical messengers that regulate everything from our metabolism and inflammation to our reproductive systems. And finally, lipids are our body's personal bodyguards and insulators. They provide a protective cushion around our vital organs, and that layer of fat under the skin helps to maintain a stable body temperature, protecting us from the cold. So as we wrap up, it's crystal clear that lipids are so much more than just the fat we talk about in our diets. They are a complex, diverse, and absolutely indispensable group of molecules. So what are the key takeaways here? First, remember that lipids are small, diverse molecules, not those long polymer chains. Second, they fall into 4 main families. And most importantly, their jobs are absolutely essential, powering our bodies, building our cells, and so much more. When you think about it, these molecules build us, they power us, and they protect us. And that leaves us with a pretty critical question. Knowing just how vital they are, how can we make choices in our daily lives to ensure this essential family is working for us and not against us? Something to think about. Thanks for joining me on this one.